pass to Johnson. Johnson still going. Dummies again. Johnson into the one to Brown. Brown goes in to score.
He's serving it down the touchline. Oh, this is unbelievable. They're gonna win it. Oh, what scenes here, what scenes. LeBron James, a shot at history. LeBron stands alone. The NBA's all-time scoring record now belongs to LeBron James.
All right, welcome back, STS. Another big podcast this week where unfortunately we will dissect that Warriors loss to the Titans, as well as looking ahead, of course, to tomorrow night's massive game at Mount Smart. Sold out crowd up against the Phins, has a bit of a must-win feel to it, and I reckon backs against the wall with all of these injuries, we will stand tall. Of course, TAB code for this week as well. Got to blast that one out nice and early in the pod because I know a lot of you, that's the highlight of your week, basically. Well, the code this week, thanks to the legends at the TAB, is round 22. So enter that, round 22, then place a first, second or third try scorer bet on any NRL game, and if it loses, you'll get your money back up to $20 as bonus cash. Limit one per customer per round, so you can only use that code for one game of the round. Bet wisely. First, second or third, have a bit of a swing. If your player scores, happy days. If not, insurance of the bonus cash up to $20. As always, gamble responsibly, and again, that code round and then the numbers 22, round 22. Surely I've spelt that out for you, of course. Canadian Club Golf Day this weekend too. If you're playing in it, look forward to seeing you on your Super Saturday. Weather looks mint as well, so strap the fuck in. We are well and truly on. The CCs will be flowing. The banter will be flowing as well. Plenty of great prizes. We've got a party hole, longest drive, closest to the pin, the works, plus kick-ons in the club rooms after. My great mate General Lee on the decks. This is going to be a doozy, and I can't wait to get stuck in on Saturday. So if you're playing, look forward to seeing you there at Papuki Golf Course. It is going to be one of the greats. But plenty to chat through this week. Of course, NRL, some big results, some big games ahead of us to look forward to as well. The Lions, that controversy against the Wallabies, was it a penalty? Was it not? All Blacks, couple injuries there, so a few suggestions on who I think will come in particular for Noah Hotham in the 9 jersey. Plus, NPC getting underway tonight. How good is it to have that level of code back? So without further ado, let's tuck into it and talk all things rugby league. God's game, what a ball buster she can be. A week in rugby league is a bloody long time. Here I was on the pod last week claiming that we should be aiming for the top 2, and then unfortunately that Titans curse, that losing streak to those baskets from the Gold Coast just came back to bite us in the arse yet again. But of course the round got underway last Thursday night with the Roosters going down in a tight tussle to the Melbourne Storm, 34 points to 30. The biggest talking point to come out of this one, Jerome Hughes, the head-geared assassin, going down with that dislocated shoulder. A massive blow for the Storm. 4 to 6 weeks, they're saying, so he should be back in time for finals footy, and hopefully, more importantly, back in time for the Kiwis tests at the back end of the year. But still, they got it done. Harry Grant stepped up and guided his side home. I thought the Chooks had their chances. Again, just impatient at the worst possible time, and I think that Daniel Tupou no try was the final blow in the coffin. If they could have scored that and gone up to, I think, an 8-point lead at the time, then that could have been game, set and match. They weren't good enough to ice it though, and Bellamy's boys bank a crucial 2 points. Friday night footy saw the Cows beat the Dragons 38 points to 32 in a display of fuck it footy. 70 points in 80 minutes. She was a high scoring shootout. Another game where the Dragons lose by 6 points or less as well. The Cowboys, for me, they're still not playing at a top 8 level, and this was a great demonstration of that. You can't concede 32 points no matter how good your attack is and say you're a fair dinkum premiership spot. And saying that, if you had a same game multi on this bet, probably saluted, try scorers galore. I know I had a winner in this one. A poo slinger, made better if you were on the old Carmichael punt. Broncos 20, Eels 22, the first upset of the weekend. The Mitch Moses effect in full display here. Broncos fans thought they won it at the death as well. It was quite entertaining seeing the heartbreak. I think Madge and Trent Barrett were up and about in the coaches' boxes, hugging each other, celebrating what they thought was a last-second win, only for it to be ruled out. Reece Walsh offside. I think they got the call correct too. I was heartbroken as well. Had a same-game multi of Bronx, Lomax, Reece Walsh. That was the final leg that I needed to come in. It wasn't to be. I was stoked for Parramatta though. They did us a favour, kept the Broncos at a decent amount of points behind us, kept that separation going, although the Panthers, they are now hot on our heels after jumping them on the ladder. I will say too, Reece Walsh, shit, did he have a mixed bag. He makes some selfish plays. He's such a good footballer, but at times his want to win and do it all himself can really hurt him. So no doubt Madge has put a bit of a rocket up him for this week. Super Saturday, Warriors 16, Titans 24. Up yours, Titans. The hoodoo continues again. They came to Mount Smart and dished up their best performance of the year and got the job done. Of course, the game changed when we lost Wade Egan. We scored 2 tries in the first 8 minutes, and I thought a cricket score was on ways. I jumped in my group chats. I was chahooing left, right, and centre, telling everyone to load up. Warriors 13 plus. I thought we were going to kick on from there. I thought the Titans would roll over too. Got a bit of a weak underbelly on them at times, and often when you strike early against them, they just wave the white flag, but that certainly wasn't the case in this game. And as disappointing as it was to cop the L, you have to salute the Titans as well. I thought they played their best game of the year, completed at 90%, 40 of their 44 sets. Kieran Foran, his best game in a long time. I thought Jaden Campbell was incredibly dangerous as well. Mo Fotuaika had his best game of the year, 162 run meters and a team high 40 tackles in 62 minutes. Shit, did he make up for the loss of Tino in the middle. I thought Jamin Jolliffe was great as well. Jamin Jolliffe, what a rugby league name that is, but he put on a clinic at Go Media Stadium. So well done to the Titans. They were deserved winners. They were the better team on the night. I think they lifted for Foz's final game on New Zealand soil and for Des Hasler's 500th, and they came away with the Chockies. Standouts for us, I thought Jacko Ford was great. 74 minutes in the middle, 54 tackles and just 1 miss. That is a massive shift from him. I thought James Fisher-Harris was great too. Both our props really put their hands up and tried their dicks off. 46 tackles from him, 151 run meters off 13 hit-ups in 55 minutes. Played 30-odd minutes of that injured as well, I believe, because he picked up that calf niggle during this game, but just refused to go off. I thought the fish was great. I thought our back three worked bloody hard, totaled over 600 run meters combined, led by Roger, of course, 276 run meters, 90 PCMs. It's the 3rd week in a row now where he's clocked over 250 run meters. He's only the 2nd player to do that since 2021 when Brian To'o was on a nice little streak. I've said it a few times now, he's giving us that To'o-like output, and this is the perfect proof of that. Bagged himself a try too. He's in bloody good form at the moment on the wing. RTS, I thought C&K was good too. Worked hard for 209 run meters, but just not enough in the end to get us across the line. Lecker was great in another 80-minute shift. 38 tackles, just the 1 miss, a try, 4 tackle breaks, another strong showing from our young superstar second rower. Tamaire Martin, big minutes in the middle. I'm sure he didn't expect that. 67 minutes as a result of Wade going off with that HIA, and he got through 46 tackles, only 4 missed, had a try assist as well. Well done to Tamaire. Not easy to come into a game like that, out of position, and put in a performance like that. So a few standouts there, but overall a pretty disappointing night, it must be said. I thought the Titans played us at our own game, got us into the grind and came out on top. Their offloads too, they killed us, 12 offloads to 6. They just put in a really good performance. So well done to Dez's lad, deserved winners, and sometimes you just got to cop that on the chin. Warriors, far from their best. Also far from their worst. I just thought when Wade went off, we lacked a bit of creativity and punch on attack. And this was just one of those disappointing games where you'd almost penciled in the 2 points, but unfortunately, it just didn't play out our way. You got to cop your licks and take that one on the chin, and I'm sure we will be better for it. Got to say, halftime show as well. Good fun. Mentioned on the pod last week I was going to feature in the old Dynasty drop zone at halftime, putting up a few surly specials, kicking the steed in around. Unfortunately, no one caught one of my bombs in the final. The final 3, they all dropped them, but still a heck of an experience. Great to be out in the middle on Mount Smart in front of 25,000, the bright lights. Geez, it's not easy either. I was feeling pretty nervous trotting out onto there. The crowd were into it. They were cheering and booing as people dropped the ball. There was even one Titans bloke, I believe he was a staff member from the office team that had flown over for this game all the way from the Goldie. Managed to put up a couple specials for him so that he struggled and everyone got around that. But a great experience, quite slippery out there in the middle too, so perhaps that explains our slightly lower completion rate. But good fun. My first Mount Smart debut. Always dreamt of that day as a kid. Had hoped it was as a player, not as the halftime entertainment, but grateful either way. And she was bloody good fun. Hopefully look forward to doing that again next year, getting the old call up. Before we move on from the Warriors as well, just wanted to give our New South Wales Cup side a shout out. Again, a clinic from them. I think it was 64 points to 8 in the end. A massive win against the Bunnies. And yes, the Bunnies, of course, so many injuries in first grade at the moment that half of their reserve grade side is playing in the top side, so they can be excused. But still, you can only play what's in front of you. And I thought our Cup team did that extremely well. Keep in mind too, guys like Tanner Boyd and that have been in Cup all year, so we are down troops too, but the depth on display is elite. One of those lads stepping in fact, the 1-4 Tanner, Jet Cleary, put on a clinic. 2 tries, 2 try assists, 3 line break assists, 8 tackle breaks, 166 run meters, 16 tackles, 0 errors. Been hearing huge raps from him around the club. They're pretty surprised at how quickly he has developed throughout the season and how much he's improved, which is incredibly exciting. Of course, it helps being surrounded by so much talent in that team, but it's great to see Jet starting to reach his full potential and just show a glimpse into what he could be. Perhaps a potential superstar 7. Again, don't jump on him too early. We need to take our time in developing him, but he's showing all the signs. Massive improvement this year, so I'm keen to see what type of player he becomes over the next few seasons. I thought Sio Kali was great on the wing. 2 tries, 224 run meters, 3 line breaks, 10 tackle breaks. Still only 19 years old as well. And that's another thing. This Cup side, more than half of them under 21 years of age, so they could be playing Jersey flag, but here they are just carving up at New South Wales Cup. Sio Kali, certainly one to circle in your rugby league black book. And then Tainto Piki, we always knew he was going to carve, and that's what he did. 2 tries, 206 run meters, 2 line breaks, 5 tackle breaks, and a try assist. I think he walked away from this game with 24 points, and as a result has earned himself a call up back into the top side again this week. Well done to the old double T. But Panthers 36, Tigers 2, that was your next NRL game, and look out, here come the Panthers, their 7th straight win now. They're up to 5th, 3 points behind us on the ladder. They've got me nervously looking over my shoulder, and it's no surprises here. These wins have been coming off the back of their defense. They are back defensively in a massive way. They've been the best D side over the last 4 seasons. And over the last 4 games, they've conceded an average of 7 points per game. And over the last 7 games, they've conceded an average of 10 points per game, which is fucking crazy. Cleary, I thought he was great. That nudge he put in between the posts for Isaac Tungle was an absolute doozy. Apparently he was aiming for the upright, but the way he kicked it just put so much curve on the ball. Once it missed the upright, it gave his centres and second rowers a chance to score. If you haven't seen that nudge, go watch it. It was a beauty. I thought Dylan Edwards was unreal as well. That's back-to-back games for him now, running over 300 run meters. Scored another try too. He is in fucking good form at the moment. Bunnies 12, Sharks 14. That was your last game on a Saturday. Geez, this was a tough game to watch. A genuine poo slinger. I love my rugby league football. You all know that. But even me, at times, found myself dozing off to this one. I think I even changed it over to the Lions game at one stage, and that was all go. The phone was lighting up about that. But geez, Bunnies with no one, Sharks with basically everyone. Well, enough threats you would think to blow them out the park, but the Bunnies hung tough. Still not sold on the Sharks either. And then Super Sunday, last two games, Raiders 44, Knights 18. Raiders again too strong in the second half, scored some pretty tin-ass tries though. And I tell you what, if we do finish fourth and we take a trip to Canberra in the first round of finals, that doesn't scare me at all. I think they're extremely beatable, and I also think they are due a loss. Whether that comes before the end of the season, I'm not so sure. They do have some big games coming up and a bye in the mix too. But something about heading to Canberra in round one of finals does not scare me at all. In fact, I think it's the less fearful option out of all the top four sides for sure. And then Dogs 42, Manly 4. Thought the Doggies were unreal in this game, celebrating 30 years since they won the premiership against Manly. Shit, did they honour that celebration well too. The jerseys, the trip back to Allianz, they even brought back the old cheerleaders to perform with the new ones. And I tell you what, the hips don't lie, the old girls could still move as well. I thought that was an ACC claim waiting to happen, but apparently they all got out unscathed. In terms of the game, Doggies were just too good. The edges are so lethal now, and they scored some great tries. 12 points to 4 at Oranges. I thought Manly were in with a sniff, but they just blew them off the park in the second 40. And the biggest standout for me was their superior fitness, which led to multiple tries through the middle. They were just putting Manly's big lads in the washing machine, and then guys like Bronson Cherry and Matty Burden, they were just coming back against the grain with some fast feet to strike. It was a pleasing performance to watch. I thought Lockie Galvin looked really good too, and this was a big win for a home side on a special night in front of a sold-out crowd. This is a bloody good way to end round 21. On to this week though we go. Flush that loss, Warriors fans, because we get to go again tomorrow night. Before that though, Para will take on the Storm tonight at CommBank Stadium. The Storm without Hughes, as I said, should be back for week one of finals footy, but that is a huge blow for them. To me, here's their most important spine member, probably him, then Harry Grant, then Paps, then Munster, or those two pretty close to each other in terms of rankings. You could flip them either way. But for me, Hughes, he runs their attack, he keeps their kicking game on, especially his long kicks, and his combo with Ali Katoa this year has been so deadly, and it's got them so many meat pies and wins as a result. They've lost 4 of their last 5 games without Hughesy, a parasite at CommBank with Moses at the 7. They will be smelling blood. In saying that, Munster and Paps back for Melbourne, almost perfect timing to bring them back into the 17. And one name that I keep looking to see on the team sheet, and it breaks my heart every week when I don't see it, Will Warbrick. Of course, suffered a concussion early on in the season and hasn't been cited since. Haven't even seen images of him training, really. So I hope he's doing okay. Another one I want to see out on the paddock for the Kiwis. So rest up the brick, but geez, he must be going through it with that head knock to still not be out there on the paddock. This game for me screams upset potential. We'll touch on it more in the punting segment, although Storm still should have too many weapons. Just having Moses back at 7 for Para makes them a completely different side. Friday night footy, strap yourselves in. Mount Smart, Go Media. A big game this one, a crucial 2-week stretch for us. Phins at home, then Dogs away, and unfortunately injury has struck. It's real backs on the wall stuff for us this week. CHT and Wade, they are out with head knocks, and of course James Fisher-Harris out with that calf, so our depth continues to be tested. For the Phins, Cody Nikarima, the 8%er, he is back. That is a huge in for them. They've scored 40 plus points in 5 of their last 7 games, and containing their high-flying attack will be crucial for us. Locking down the likes of the Hammer, Herbie, Averillo, Nikarima and Katoa, that will be the main objective, so no doubt defensive coach Slade Griffin has been crunching the numbers and watching a shit ton of footage on them to try and see how we can do just that. For me, it starts with winning the middle and our defensive line being set. We've got to be connected and switched on from tackle 1, because if you watch the Phins, they are not afraid to pull the trigger from anywhere. Inside their own half, they will run strikes on tackle 3, tackle 4, when you least expect it, and it's dished them up so many results. So often they just skin teams, short side, open side. They run bloody nice shapes. They park Hammer around the ruck, and he's always floating there to dot down on the inside, one of the best support player fullbacks in the game. Luckily though, we've done a really good job on Hammer in the past. He's only scored 1 try in his last 4 games against us, so long may that continue. And to me, this game reminds me of that one last year at Mount Smart, at home, missing stars, plenty of changes, but the lads dragged the Phins into a grind and we got the result, 24 points to 20 on that occasion. So that's the recipe again here. Friday night at the Fortress, the ball will be a little bit slippery, some of that cold Auckland moisture getting around in the air. We've got to kick to corners, pin them. Victory will be built off the back of defence, complete high, and we give ourselves a chance, and then we try and make every error that they make turn into points from there. I also think our attack has the potential to be pretty lethal as well, and we can fight fire with fire if need be. We've got plenty of strike and plenty of playmakers still in this 17. I'm keen to see Healey at 9 as well. For me, it sucks losing Wade. He is probably one of our most impactful players, and we saw that last week, particularly on attack. But in Healey, we have almost the perfect replacement. A big body who's creative around the ruck. He can ball play. He can run. He will keep that Dolphins defense guessing. Last time he laced up, we pumped the Sharks, and that was probably our best performance since then as well. So in Healey, we trust. I like Warriors, 1 to 12 in a close one for me here. Go the fucking boys. Underdog status, backs against the wall. We will stand tall. I can't wait for this one. Another sold out Go Media 2. Get out there, bums on seats. The boys need us to bounce back and get us back in the winning circle to protect our top 4 standing. Then following this game, Broncos versus Bunnies, the Wayne Bennett Bowl. Bunnies trying desperately to avoid the spoon. I don't like their chances in this one, though. I think the Broncos will be stinging after that disappointing performance and that loss last week. They're back at Suncorp. They should be up and about. Feels like they play at Suncorp every fucking week. They get so many home games. NRL tries to look after their golden possession, but hey, that is what it is. A rant for another day. I like the Bronx there. Super Saturday, Titans versus Panthers. Bet you can't do it twice in a row, Titans. The Panthers, for me, should be way too strong. I think the Titans, they lifted last week, and that probably took a toll on them as well, and I don't think they can back it up. Cleary, Edwards, Yo, all starting to hit their straps at the right time. I think it could be a tough day at home here for the Titans. I'm looking forward to seeing Jaden Campbell up against Cleary, though. I think that will be a good watch for me. Penrith will make it 8 straight. Dragons versus Raiders. Mentioned before, something tells me the Raiders are due a loss. I don't think it'll be this week, though. I'm expecting this game to be close. Probably another loss within a converted try for Shane Flanagan's lads. They are a side that will drag you down to their level, but I think the Green Machine will be too clinical and too consistent and come away with the chocolates there. Manly versus Chooks. Can't wait for this game. Big potential top 8 ramifications in this one. And for me, there's 4 sides fighting it out to get the final 2 spots in the 8. And it starts from the Sharks, who are in 7th at the moment, and goes down to 10th with the Chooks. The Phins and Manly in the middle, in between those two, in a bit of a top 8 sandwich. So this game is massive. Add to that, Manly, they'll take on the Raiders next week, and then the Dolphins the week after that. So this draw almost makes this one a must-win for them at home. Luckily for them, they are at home this week in front of a sold-out crowd. It is time for them to respond after basically not getting on the bus last weekend against the Bulldogs. For the Chooks, Hugo Savala, he's back. He's in the 6. Victor the Inflictor is on an extended bench. He has a chance to come in. Of course, Hamole Olakau'atu out for the rest of the season, dislocated shoulder. Did they rush him back? I think potentially they did, but he was obviously happy to roll the dice. The big fella fella, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do make finals. He takes a trip to Cortisone City and gets himself back out there. If him and Paseka come back for Manly and they make the top 8, then they could be a genuine upset watch every week in finals footy. But this for me is the game of the round outside of the Warriors versus Phins. I reckon this one should be a goodie. Sunday, double header, Tigers versus Dogs, Lockie Galvin Bowl. Kiraz at the back, he will be an interesting watch. I think the Dogs get up in this one, but I am looking forward to seeing the treatment that Tigers fans and players give Lockie Galvin. I think Jerome Luai could be at his grubby best for this one. Good to see Buller back for them too. I just think the Dogs, too many weapons in the duffel. But yeah, as I said, constantly watch Galvin in this one. I reckon a player cam where you could just watch him for 80 minutes would be a good watch, because they are going to be into him, that's for sure. Wouldn't be surprised if Benji laces up on the interchange just to get a shot on the kid himself after what he did to them. And then Sharks Cows, Sunday night special, poo slinger. That's back-to-back poo slingers for the Sharks. Well done to them. I think they win this one, but it could be a real roller coaster. The Cowboys will score plenty but concede more in typical Cowboys fashion, and I think the Sharks get the dub. I also wouldn't be shocked though if the Cowboys somehow get up off the back of a Tommy Dearden, Scotty Drinkwater clinic. Surely this is job on the line for Todd Payton too. So watch this space. Maybe they lift for him like the Titans did for Des last week. And then finally, before we move on and get into some rugby union, just wanted to shout out the Warriors NRLW side, of course. Went down to the Titans last week as well. We've got the Cows this weekend on Sunday, 1:50 p.m, and it's actually Women's Magic Round 2. So all of the games are at Newcastle. They avoid the trip to Townsville, which is quite lucky. But the Cowboys, and I find it weird saying that, the Cowboys women's side is their team name. Surely they change it to the Cowgirls. But they're sitting in 4th on the ladder, 3 wins from their 4 games. We are 1-3, so it would be good to get the dub in this one, snap a 2-game losing streak. Won't be easy, but enjoy Magic Round and get up the Wahine. A big dub would be massive for our season. They've been improving each week. I've been enjoying watching them. Good to see a decent crowd out there at Mount Smart last week to watch them play as well. We still need more bums on seats though. Of course, on the road this weekend, so if you live in Newcastle, get on down to Women's Magic Round. She should be a doozy. Rugby Union, Lions get the dub over the Wallabies, a massive second half comeback. Down 23 points to 5 at Oranges. Still, the Lions find the way to get a win against a much improved Aussie side. Will Skelton and Rob Valentini showing their worth. They were the difference for the Wallabies, and once they left the game around the 50th minute mark, geez, did momentum change. Skelton, Valentini provided exactly what the Wallabies missed in that first game. Someone that can get them over the gain line, and the Lions forward pack, they were doing their best to shut them down, but they were just getting bumped off left, right and centre. The Lions, though, they didn't give up, and in the end, they pulled off the comeback to get the dub and lock up the series. So dead rubber game 3 on Ways this weekend. Of course, the biggest talking point from this game, though, was the ruck controversy. Tizano, was it shoulder to the head? Should it have been a penalty? And perhaps the Wallabies go on to win this game, which they would have. And for me, I reckon the refs got this one right. If you want to start penalising that, then unfortunately, every second or third ruck in all levels of rugby would be a penalty. Tizano, over the ball, low body position. What else was the cleaner meant to do? And I don't think he intentionally made head contact with his shoulder. I think he was trying to get lower than him, and that's just the result of it. To be honest, it could have been a penalty for him diving off his feet and sealing off the ruck, but I didn't have any problem with the clean out. I think Tizano tried to milk the shit out of it too once he realised he'd been cleaned out and couldn't get the ball, and that, to me, factors into this not being a penalty too. I can see how it is a 50-50 call, and if that happened to the All Blacks in a World Cup final, I'd probably be blowing up Deluxe and would change my mind. But I do think the no penalty call was right for the game of rugby. I think we would have opened up a real can of worms there if we had penalised that. If you can't neck roll, which they've outlawed, then I don't see how else you can get a player off the ball once they are over the top of it and in a good position. It's almost like you have to automatically concede the ruck if that's the way we're going to go. So the right call for me was made and the Lions get the win. Well done to the Wallabies though. They improved massively and I do think they'll be pissed off the back of that call. They felt fucking hard done by. Joe Schmidt certainly didn't mince his words. So I think they could get up and win this game 3. I don't think the Lions have swept the Wallabies since about the 1920s, that tour they went on there. So the Wallabies still with plenty of pride to pay for. But the biggest talking point for me this week around rugby is, of course, NPC code being back. How fucking good. Before that, though, couple injuries for the All Blacks to factor in. Tyrell Lomax out for 5 to 6 weeks with a fractured hand. Noah Hotham out for 8 weeks with a high ankle sprain. Who replaces Hotham is going to be an interesting watch for me. Finlay Christie, he'll be playing for Tasman this weekend, you'd think. Folau Fakatava should be playing for Hawke's Bay. Kyle Preston is playing for Wellington. Those are probably the 3 main candidates. Xavier Rowe, potentially the bolter. He'll be lacing up for Waikato. So that makes this round of NPC action even more important for the halfbacks. In terms of who I'd like to see them go, I'm not a huge Finlay Christie fan at the moment. I've liked him in the past, but I do think he's down a little bit on form. So Fakatava or Preston for me would be the 2. I'd love to see Kyle Preston get a crack. What a story that would be. For me, you have to take 3 halfbacks on the tour, and unless D-Mac or someone miraculously learns how to play halfback, then I think Preston is the guy. Something's just come to my mind though. Leroy Carter can play 9. Perhaps they bring him in. Boomfa. He's done it for Bay of Plenty before as well, and perhaps Bay of Plenty look to do that towards the end of their game this week. Just to remind the All Blacks selectors, but you could bring Boomfa in, and then he gives us outside back cover as well, actually. That is the way I'm going to go. Unlucky Kyle Preston. For me, you just miss out due to Leroy Carter's utility value. But on to NPC action. Auckland versus Waikato tonight to kick off the season. I always say it, NPC code, it is my favourite. It's that perfect mix of grassroots and professional. You get to see the future stars in the years to come, plus some of the best in the game. All Blacks, internationals, love to see them being released as well. And Auckland versus Waikato is a great way to kick us off. I was surprised to see this game at Eden Park though. Surely Auckland moved their games to Western Springs or Bell Park and Papakura or something like that. When you think that Auckland, the Blues, they're trying to move because Eden Park is too big for them to get bums on seats, and then you have an NPC team playing there. Just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But anyway, onto the game we go. Some big names not lacing up too, unfortunately. ALB, Anton Leonard-Brown, he was named to play for Waikato, but has pulled out since, re-aggravated that shoulder injury, so he won't be playing. Stephen Perafeta, Caleb Tangito, not named for Auckland. Cruden, though, he is named in the 10 for Waikato, and him and Sopawanga being the 10s for the Mooloos. I did not see this coming. Sops, he's 34. He's on the bench after returning from Japan, and Aaron Cruden at 36, getting the start. I get that you can't beat experience. Surely there's some young 10s coming through the Waikato, though, that would have been itching to get a crack at this level. Maybe I shouldn't have retired. Your mate Surly, 34 years, same as Sops. Harbour, reach out if you want me to lace up the boots. I will dust them off for you. It would be an absolute honour to play for the mighty Heat. And speaking of the Heat, their season gets underway Friday night against the Turbos, 7:05 p.m. kickoff. Unfortunately, this one clashes with the Wars, so it's going to be Sky Go on the phone season for me, and I am a little nervous for this game. Harbour coming in with just the internal game under their belt. The Turbos, they played a pre-season clash, so they've had a hit out, and they will be better for it. Of course, Ngani Laumape, his first game back on NZ soil. They got Brett Cameron at 10, plus they got the likes of Braden Yosse, TK Howden as well, so they do have some strike weapons, the Turbos. For Harbour though, Tom Savage named Harbour skip, of course, Moana Pacifica lock, a big signing for the province. Pellegrini at 10, his Moana teammate. I assume that he will be making his debut. Again, recording this before teams have been named for your NPC action. Only the Auckland Waikato sides are the 2 teams that I've seen, but I'd imagine Pellegrini at 10, Mark Talia, hopefully on the sting to make up a dangerous back 3, 2026's version of the Bermuda Triangle triangle, which won us so many bets last year. I think Cade Banks will be at fullback with Sean Stevenson gone, Sophie Maka on the other wing, which is bloody dangerous right there. Get up, Harbour. I think we win, but in a tight one. More on that in the punting segment shortly. Saturday, triple header, Wellington up against Canterbury, Old Canterbury, 2:05pm kickoff at Porirua Park. Wellington getting this one right. Why play at the Cake Tin when you got Jerry Collins Stadium, which is rightfully the new home of the Wellington Lions? Of course, they're last year's defending champs. They're going to miss Duplessis Kirifi a shit ton. And the fact he hasn't been released for this game just shows how fast he's climbing up the All Blacks loose forward ranks as well. But Ruben Love, he's available. He'll be a big boost for them. Peter Lakai available too, not quite sure, but if he is, that would be massive for their loose forward options too. The Cantabs, they'll have Brodie McAllister, also released from All Blacks duty, and Cole Preston, as I mentioned before, potentially playing for an All Blacks spot. So that's two of the big dogs going at it to kick us off on a Saturday. That should be a good watch. Southland versus Otago follows that, the old Southern Derby. You beauty, Christian Leo Willie, the dentist, he's back for the Golden O. I'm going to back them in a close one. I don't think Southland will be that bad this year again. They were pretty good last year, to be fair. Pumped Harbour in the last game of the season to ruin our final chances too. Still haven't forgiven them of that one, but they've got a decent squad down there, so I reckon they'll be up for this in front of their faithful fans. They'll show up in big numbers too. Stag supporters, they are top notch, but I will back Otago. Taranaki versus Northland, final game on your Saturday. Shield Challenge straight away. Love to see it. I want to see the Shield move around a little this year too. For me, that's one of the best parts about the NPC is these small towns winning the Ranfurly Shield. They pack out the domestic airports. The fans absolutely lose their shit. Harbour haven't won it since 2006, and if they win it, I'll be pissing up for days, I can tell you that much for free. But this should be a good game. I think Taranaki will be too strong, but some decent matchups. None better than the Battle of the Tens. Josh Jacob up against Rivers Reihana. That'll be a good battle. I'm also keen to see this Taranaki winger, Taniela Rakuru, in full flight. I think he scored 5 tries in their pre-season game against Wanganui. He's come across from the Fiji and Drua. Once they lost Kini Naholo, they wanted to get some strike in. He's going to be all over my same game multis this year. A genuine try-scoring freak. He's so fast, and I reckon he has a shot to be the NPC's top try scorer. Then Sunday, game of the week for me, a real lip licker and a potential grand final preview. Bay of Plenty taking on Tasman in Tauranga, 2:05 kickoff. Bay of Plenty with Amoni Narawa and Tossi back. Tasman with Big Jim. They'll also have Lester Whainganuku, I believe, who is back from France. Not eligible to play for the All Blacks in the Rugby Championship without the New Zealand board overturning that decision, and I can't see them doing that. Surely not. It sets a pretty dangerous precedent, and I don't think we're that strapped for talent in the midfield now where we would have to do something like that. But Leicester will certainly be in the All Blacks plans at the back end of this year on that Northern Hemisphere tour, and I'm keen to see him play again after a couple years overseas. Bay of Plenty stacked, Tasman stacked, both teams 1-23 with so much talent. This is two of the big dogs going at it hammer and tongs, and I'm excited to watch that one. And then Hawke's Bay versus Counties to round us out, 4:35pm. Zahn Sullivan back in the Hawke's Bay, back in his hometown, wearing the black and white stripes of the Magpies. Dalton and Hoskins back for Counties, so that should be a good game to round us out as well. How fucking good is NPC footy? Strap yourselves in. I reckon round 1 is set to be a barnstormer. All right, fire up the Tea and Biscuits app. Let's have a punt. And remember the code this week, round 22. Chuck it in before you place a first, second, or third try scorer bet. If your player doesn't score first, second, or third, you'll get your money back in bonus cash up to $20. How fucking good. First game tonight, Eels Storm. I can smell an upset in this one. Eels 370, Storm $1.28. I just reckon with Mitchie Moses in the mix at Combank, they could be a real sniff. Now the Eels, they've lost all 5 games against top 4 opponents this year, and the Storm have won their last 5 straight against Parramatta, so stats suggest I could be off my head. But hey, we ride with it. Of course, I mentioned before too, the Storm, they've lost 4 of their last 5 games without the headgeared assassin in Jerome Jerome Hughes. For your try scorers, Joshi Adokar, he scored 5 tries in his last 4 games against Melbourne. Zach Lomax, 5 tries in his last 4 games as well. And with Mitch Moses back, I love him again in this game at $2. He's just such a great kick target for Parramatta. For the Storm, Harry Grant, 8 tries in his last 6 games against the Eels. That is a real standout stat right there, paying $3.70. Paps, he scored 4 tries in his last 3 games against Para. He's paying $2.15. And Nick Meaney, 5 tries in his last 7 against Parramatta. Not bad stats for old Eenie Meaney at $2.95 as well. For your same game multi in this one, I'm going to go Lomax and Harry Grant, the Wizard, both to score. And then either team by 12.5 points or less. I reckon that's a bit of insurance for you. $11.18. Remember, with your same game multis as well, if you place a 3+ legger, loses by 1 leg, you'll get your money back in bonus cash up to $50. That's limit of 1 game per day. So your Thursday night footy, it's custom made for it. There's literally only the 1 game. So you can have a swing on that. Doesn't hit, you miss by 1, money back in bonus cash. How bloody good. Friday night footy, Warriors $2.25, Phins $1.67. A real lip licker at Mount Smart. We've won both our games against the Dolphins at Go Media Stadium, but we've lost 3 of our last 4 home games, so a bit of a counter stat for you there. In terms of your try scorers, the Hammer, Hamiso Tabuai-Fidel, he has scored 7 tries in his last 4 games. As I said though, he's only scored 1 in his last 4 against the Warriors. If my quick math is correct, that's a 25% strike rate, which isn't very good. $1.77 for him though, if he's still in good enough form to make his way onto your slips, and I certainly don't blame you if that is the case. The Herbivore, Herbie Farnworth, 5 tries in his last 5 games against the Warriors, and keep in mind too, we are conceding 62% of our tries to left edge attacks. The Dolphins, they're scoring 57% of their tries on the left compared to 28% of their tries on the right, so they love going down that side, and that is where the Herbivore lives. So $2.25 for him, a pretty bloody good shout. Cody's Nikarima, the 8% Cody's, he has also scored in each of his last 4 games pre-injury. Back now, post the bye, a Kiwi lad coming home. They always carve against us. Look at old Papa Foran, Kieran Foran, at 87 years old last week, putting on a clinic. So the 8%er, Cody Nikarima at $3.70 anytime. Not a bad shout as well. For the mighty One New Zealand Warriors, Leka Halasima, Leka My Balls, holy hecka, there goes Leka, Leka the Wrecker, whatever you want to call him. He scored 6 tries in his last 7 games and 4 tries in his last 4 games as well, on a unique streak for a young second rower. $2.70 anytime if you think he can dot. First, second, or third, he's paying $5.60 as well. He scored 2nd last week, of course, so keep that in mind. Curdy Capewell, a try in each of his last 2 games against the Phins as well at $4. And then, of course, our edges and centres, always good strike weapons. Sam Healey out of 9 for a nice little meaty, could be pretty special as well. Dimitri Vaimolga potentially starting, named to start anyway. Maybe there's a bit of jam around him too. Same game multi for this one. I'm going to swing for the fence, so I'm going to go Cody Nikarima into Tain Tuopiki, paying $6.40 as my try scorers. Then I'm going to go insurance, either team by 12.5 points or less. That gets me $27.69. That is a massive payday. I do think the Warriors will win as well. 1-12 will be on its way on my slips too, just to get around the boys. Up the fucking Warriors. Broncos, they'll play the Bunnies after that and go in massive favourites. $1.16 up against the Bunnies at $5.40. The bookies giving the beat-up Bunnies no chance, and fair enough too. They've conceded 136 points in 4 straight losses at Suncorp. They hate going there. Leaky Siv on D. They're also in a race to win the wooden spoon, so shit just looks tough for Bennett's boys at the moment. He has won 11 of his last 12 games against Madge Maguire coach sides though, so maybe the old boys got it over him. We will soon see. Dean Mariner doubles in his last 2 games against the Bunnies. He's in on the sting this week. He's paying $1.70 anytime and $3.30 for 2 or more, so that could be a good shout. Billy Walters as well. He's on a 3-game try scoring streak off the Remu, $4.10. cents. Then for the Bunnies, AJ, he's always my go-to, especially when they're down troops. I thought he was the one guy you could still rely on, but he's only scored 2 tries in his last 6 games against the Broncos, which suggests that he is in a void. Ben Hunt, the cunt, 200th appearance for the Broncos this week. He's paying $4.50 anytime for a milestone try scorer. I don't mind that either. Super Saturday, triple header, run-of-the-mill stuff for the best game in the world, Rugby League. Titans-Panthers kick us off. The lads, the Gold Coast, home side, $4.25 underdogs. Panthers paying $1.22. The Titans have only won 1 of their last 11 games against the Panthers. Panthers hot to trot. Tick them in, $1.22. That's pretty good value considering the win streak they are on. 13 plus, also pretty appealing. I just don't think the Titans can back up last week's shifts. For your try scorers, Panthers, Dylan Edwards, the ghost, 5 tries in his last 6 games against the Titans. He's in bloody good form at the moment too. 3 tries in his last 2 games, $2.25 for the hard-working fullback. Don't mind that. Casey McLean, 3 tries in his last 2 games, $2.25 for him. And Isaac Tango on a 2-game try-scoring streak at $2.85. For your value play from Penrith, I don't mind Lindsay Smith here. 2 tries in his last 3 games, $8.25 for the Kangaroos middle. Not a bad shout. For the Titans, Jojo Fafita, no relation to the chicken fajita. 5 tries in his last 4 games at $3.15. And Philip Sammy, aka the Sandwich, 3 tries in his last 2 games, $2.35. Rugby League sense. Same game multi for this one. Gonna go Leary again. Lindsay Smith into Jenkins, the milkman, and into the Panthers. 2 of the whitest blokes potentially in the Rugby League at the moment, so that's a bit of a milk bet for you there. Dragons $2.90, Raiders $1.42. Dragons have only won 1 of their 5 games against top 4 sides this season, and the Raiders have won their last 5 straight against the Dragons, and they're aiming for their 8th straight road win as well. And when you think of Raiders, right, you think home ground so good, on the road a little bit patchy. Well, they've flipped that this year. They've been so good away from Canberra, which really is a testament to them and just shows why they're sitting pretty at the top of the ladder. For your try scorers, Sloan, he scored 6 tries in his last 4 games for the Dragons, and Hudson Young, 4 tries in his last 5 games against the Red V. I reckon there could be some points in this one. My same game multi, I'm going to go Young and Sloan to score, back the stats there. And then I'm going to go either team by 12.5 points or less, because I reckon the Dragons will keep it tight. Manly, $1.70, Roosters $2.15. Manly, they've won 6 from their 9 games at 4 Pines Park this year. The Roosters have won 5 of their last 7 against the Gulls, though. Lip lick of this one. Tolu Koula on a 7-game try-scoring streak at 4 Pines, paying $2.20 for the Chooks. Daniel Tupou, he scored 7 tries in his last 5 games. He's paying $1.65 anytime. He has also been the first try scorer for the Roosters in 5 of their last 10 games, and he scored 6 in their last 7 games against Manly. And with Sammy Walker back, they appear to be so left side dominant. He loves that kick across the field to the giraffe, so get around him for sure. James Tedesco, 5 tries in his last 7 games against the Gulls. He's got a 71% strike rate. If you want to go big though, Luke Brooks, the barbecue, he is playing his 250th NRL game. A Brooksy bet wouldn't be the worst shout in a game like this. Every so often he can just stand up and have a good one. Shit, Manly fans would love this to be one of those occasions, and he brings a rabbit out the hat. My same game multi though, Tupou, Koula, any team by 12.5 or less at $6. Fuck, I love that option. Super Sunday, Tigers $3.60, Dogs $1.30. Bulldogs have won 4 of their last 5 against Benji's boys. For your try scorers, Sunia Taruva, 6 tries in 6 games at Combank. For Noah Pole, massive value, 2 tries in his last 2 games against the Dogs. He's paying $10.50. That is a big swing. Maybe one that you use with some insurance of the old bonus cash back promo. For the Dogs, Rinakama, he's back on the wing. He hasn't been an NRL game in his proud career where he hasn't dotted, so $1.85 for him seems to make sense. Jacob Keras, 3 tries in his last 2 games at fullback this week. Also been brought into my super coach and fantasy team, so well aware that I might have cursed him, but at $2.50, he's a good bet. Jacob Preston, he's due for me. Hasn't scored in his last 2 games at $2.50. $2.50, and then the value play for the dogs, and one I will certainly be jumping on. Joshy Curran, ex-Warrior, friend of the show, bloody good bloke. He'll play his 100th NRL game. $7.50 for a bit of jam on him off the bench. I'll be betting that live when he checks in as well to hopefully get some more inflated odds, but I don't mind that bet at all. Same game multi, Rinakama, Kiraz, or Crichton, still unsure. And the dogs to win, and then a little side investment on my mate JC. And then Sharks versus Cowboys, final game of the weekend. Sharks $1.40 favourites, Cows $2.95. The Sharks have won 13 of their past 15 games against the Cowboys and have won 5 from 7 at home this season. For your try scorers, Scotty Drinkwater, 5 tries in his last 5 games, $2.80. Tommy Dearden, his 100th appearance for the Cows, milestone meaty, 3 tries in his last 2 games at $3.75. Then for the Sharks, Ronaldo Mulatalo, the pest on legs, 8 tries in his last 8 games against the Cowboys, $1.77 for him. Tricky Trindle, 5 tries in his last 5 games against the Cows, paying $3.60. NPC, couple futures bets before rolling into round 1 action. In terms of your sides to win the comp, I've got 2 as my favourites and then a couple as an outsider as well. I like Tasman at $3.50 and Bay of Plenty at $7.50 to take out the title, and I think that will be the final. Taranaki at 12s, they are my outsiders. Would love to tip Harbour at 26s, but I just don't think we've got the weapons in the duffel. I think our starting side will be good, but it'll come down to depth for me, and any injuries, especially in that forward pack, we could be looking a little light. So Tasman, Bay of Plenty, Taranaki, they are my 3 favourites to win the comp. This week's games, tonight, Auckland, Waikato, $1.55 for Auckland, Waikato at $2.40. I like Waikato 1 to 12 at $3.50. I reckon that's a bloody good price. For your try scorers, Josh Morby at $2.10 or Balin Sullivan at $2.20 are good shouts, as is Xavier Rowe at $2.60 and AJ Lamb if you want someone from Auckland. For your Friday night code, Turbos $4.80, the mighty Harbour Heat at $1.17, 7:05 p.m. kickoff. Clashes with the Warriors. I'll be interested to see the TV viewership numbers from this one, because we all know the Harbour Heat, they put bums on seats. But the TAB, they're giving the Turbos no chance. That 14.5 point line is just way too much for me. So as much as it hurts to say that, I reckon take the Turbos plus 14.5. I think Harbour will win, but I do think it'll be reasonably tight within 2 converted tries anyway. For your try scorers, Mark Talea, Laumape, Solfai Maka, if they are all named to play. Also don't mind Braden Yose, and a couple heart bets on Bryn Gordon, Northcote hooker, and Murphy Taramai, Northcote loose forward. Again, teams not named at time of recording, so all of that could be completely fucking irrelevant, but those are the bets I like without seeing who is in and who is out. For your Saturday, Wellington $1.70, Canterbury $2.10. Love in the mixer. Does he play 10 or 15? I'm not quite sure, but either way, his impact on this game is going to be huge. Either team within 7.5 points with the dub seems a good bet here. Bees dick stuff expected between 2 of the competition's high flyers. Defending champs Wellington taking on the Satyrs at Porirua Park. That is sure to be a goodie. Southland versus Otago, the battle of the deep south. Otago 1 to 12 for me at $2.80 seems a good bet, although I don't think Southland will roll over. They didn't last year, and I expect they will be up for it again. A pretty decent squad they've thrown together, but the Golden O with Leo Willie and co in the mix, I think they'll just be too good. Taranaki versus Northland. I think Taranaki win and defend the shield fairly easily. 13 plus at $1.62 is probably the bet, with Daniel Rona, aka the Virus, Jacob Ratamatavuki-Nepkins, and my boy Rakuro as your try scorers in that one. Sunday, Bop, $2.45, Tasman, $1.52. This for me is the grand final preview, as I just mentioned. 2:05 p.m. kickoff in Tauranga. Hopefully sun's out, because there's some genuine superstars lacing up in this one. Best bet, either team within 7.5 points or less. Think this one is going to be really tight. Amone and Kyron Time Mofalau as try scorers again if they are named. Result-wise, I think it's a coin toss. Heart says Bay. Head says Tasman. Fuck, this could go right down to the wire. Game of the weekend for sure outside of Harbour versus the Turbos. And then Hawke's Bay, $1.22, Counties $4. Zahn Sullivan back at home in Hawke's Bay for Lau Whakatava. Potential All Black trial, Dalton and Hoskins back at Counties. I like Hawke's Bay to win. Jonah Lowe, Zahn Sullivan for them as my try scorers, and Itene Nanai Satoro again, if named, would be my pick of the bunch for Counties. Great to have NPC Co back. Just gives us so many options on the Carmichael punt, and really looking forward to this week's action. So good luck if you're having a flutter this weekend. Again, cheers to the TAB. Get around them, the best bookie in the whole of sports betting, not just in New Zealand, but worldwide. Fucking legends. Right, that's us for another week. Surly Talk Sports. Enjoy your weekend sporting action. There's plenty on. Actually, shout out to Carlos Olberg as well. Didn't do the weekly wrap, but a bit of UFC chat. Him and Navajo Sterling set to headline the old Perth card for the UFC. Can't wait for that. If Carlos wins that fight against the 8th planked fighter, I reckon he's in for a title shot too. So go well to the CKB, boys. But enjoy this weekend's action. NPC back. Lions game should be a good one to watch as well. NRLW. And of course the NRL, always the main event. Mighty Warriors tomorrow night. See you at Mount Smart if you're heading out. Otherwise, I'll catch you back here, same time, same place next week. Should have plenty of tales from the old STS times CC golf day to reminisce on too. Can't wait for that. Deleting some tins on Saturday. Absolutely fizzing for it.